Hello everyone, and welcome to another webinar from the Make Love series. It's amazing as always to be here with you guys and share a little bit of our thoughts and discussions that I have with Igor. This is our sixth webinar already, so many discussions already been have been made in the past, and this one is really interesting because we are going to talk about cultural differences. We'll explore a little bit more about this topic and how and why this topic is so important for Igor and obviously for myself as well because we work abroad as well. But let me bring Igor into the conversation and welcome Igor once again.
Nice to see you again.
It's a real
After really
pleasure to
long break, we're finally
yeah.
here together, and I'm happy to see you.
Yeah, perfect. So I hope everyone had nice holidays. We were just discussing on the backstage about holidays, but yeah, I hope everyone listening in to this webinar had great holidays, had the opportunity to rest because that's really, really important as well, and that you come refreshed to hear new thoughts, new ideas, and to obviously to have some insights about the topics that we bring in every webinar. So, Igor, once again, real pleasure. You chose this topic. Why is this topic so important for you? First of all, for all of those that don't know you, Igor, just a brief presentation, and so that they know why this is really important. I imagine I know, but most people might not know why this is something that really touches your heart.
Okay, I can briefly explain it, and later I will give some examples. But yes, you're completely right. Most of my life I spent in Russia, and it's not a secret that I'm originally Russian. And the Russian mentality is deeply is deeply into me. I use it every day. And now, for 2 years already, I stay in Brazil. I work here. We launched our agency, employer branding agency, Make Love, here in Brazil, and I had to understand local Brazilian culture, which is completely different when we talk about work, about ways people organize their communities. It's completely different in comparison to Russian, and that is why I thought that I can give some advices to people. I don't want to say that I'm the person who brings the truth, but I can give some advices which can help with the career building, because I think that some traits of Slavic characters, of Slavic people, can be helpful. And I will try to explain it. But I want to emphasize that probably somebody will decide to argue with me, and that is pretty normal. I'm not saying that I'm bringing you the objective stuff. So I will just share something. Probably you will grab something for yourself and that will be helpful for you. Probably you will decide to argue, and please welcome to my LinkedIn and share your thoughts. I will be happy. Or you can do this here in our
Yeah,
commentary so that we will
yeah,
see.
we have a chat, so you can use our chat here. And just let me before you start, Igor, just let me talk a little bit about myself as well because I am the opposite. So I am a Portuguese person working in Portugal. I have worked and I have obviously projects that are out of the scope of my country, but I can say that both my parents were travel agents, so I traveled all around the world, but I have never worked outside of Portugal. So uh, I think this might also add to the perspective that you have a really different visibility on how culture influences and all these topics that we are going to discuss and talk about. Yeah. So, cultural differences. Tell me a little bit, Igor, what is it like to be a Slavic person, like you mentioned? What is it like the upbringing of a Russian young kid, and how is it different from elsewhere?
Okay, so again, please, I need to say this in the very beginning. Please do not consider my points as some kind of objective stuff. I'm trying to share my personal point of view, my personal ideas about what is happening. But our cultures, I will mostly bring you examples of Brazilian and Russian culture
Yeah,
comparison, but
perfect, perfect.
find something which will be really close to European cultures and others, and we can discuss that. That is a great point for us to discuss these points with you. But what I wanted to start with, I wanted to start with the few examples which brought these thoughts to my mind about these differences in cultures. And very first moment when it happened 2 years ago, when I arrived here in Brazil for the first time, and we were managing a big project for Deloitte. That it was our first client here in Brazil. And one day, when there was just one night before the huge event which we were preparing together, that day, client appeared with some commentaries and corrections which were really kind of big ones. I mean, we had to change the website, the layout, something else, and they said, "Guys, if you can do this, it will be perfect for us." And we changed all the stuff overnight. I mean, we just sent it to the team. To the Russian team. We corrected this. We managed to do this, and next morning, client appeared and said, Igor, none of Brazilian agencies were ready to do this. First of all, overnight. Secondly, without additional payments. And thirdly, not in 3 weeks as usually they do this here. And they said, after this, we will work with you on many other projects because we really love the way you do this. And that moment helped me to understand that we have some differences, and these differences can be used. I mean, our Slavic habits and ways of communication can be helpful, and that is what I wanted to share. After that, I started gathering some comparisons, like, okay, this is different. That is what I can share with the local public, and that is what I brought to you today. So that was the first moment when I understood.
Yeah.
In Brazil, people do not want to do things for free, as even if these things are for the same client, and they do not want to spend their personal time or work late hours to make the project happen, because for them their personal how to say their personal tasks, their personal life are much more important, is much more important than any kind of tasks which people can
Yeah.
ask them to do on the workplace. And that was the first moment when I understood that we are different, and that was the first moment when I understood that I can share something with people. And
And
another, yes, please, you can interrupt me any
no,
moment.
Igor, just one question. You are the only Slavic Russian guy there in Brazil, or do you have other people from your
No,
country
I'm the
working there?
I'm the only here,
Mm.
and I can say this is a slightly different topic, but can share, and I think it's important that when you start working in another country, it's so important not to build a kind of your cultural bubble. I saw some companies here in Brazil who had so many Russian people. I mean, I talked and were in communication with the Russian companies. They had so many Russian people that they built their bubble. They were discussing Russian news, Russian stuff, and they didn't have any chance to merge with local culture. And I think that was a really big problem for them. In my case, I'm the only person who has to speak sometimes Portuguese, who has I mean, with the team, who has to know all the peculiarities of the market, who has to fit myself into the processes which are common here, not bring my own processes, but to fit into the processes. And I think that helped us to succeed. And if you want some kind of metrics, I can say that in a year and a half after we started here with zero contacts and projects on the market, we finally started receiving enough money. I don't know how it's called in English, sorry, but it's like the 0 point when we start earning enough
Hmm.
money and not to receive any
Break
more
even.
investments.
Break even.
Break
Break
even.
even. Yeah.
Thank you very
Break
much.
break
Yes,
even.
exactly. So I can say that we are moving, probably not fast, but pretty successfully, and that is break even point, which happened in a year and a half. Tells me that yes, we are doing everything in the right way, and probably that is why I can share some experience from my
And so
projects here.
going there, Igor, and because I know, You have people make love is obviously present in other parts of the world. So in regards to the way your team works there in Brazil, because of the example that you gave, did you have to use other parts of the company from elsewhere to develop the outputs that you have there in Brazil to do it overnight? For instance, did you
Yes.
use the team from Russia to present those outputs there?
Yes, exactly. We mostly use our developers, designers, and strategic team. We outsource these people because they don't need to know culture and cultural
Yeah.
peculiarities, even strategic people, because for them it's enough to download the research of the market and use this research. They don't need to be in the context. But copywriters, managers, and salespeople are situated here in Brazil because they have to know the cultural peculiarities, and that is what I want. So yes, we used Russian people. And what happened with this project, which I just described in the very beginning, our team, what I saw, our team was mostly, as many people in Russia and Slavic countries, were mostly motivated by the result. So
Yeah.
when we said to them, "Hey, we will have a great project there. We want to make it even better," they said, "Okay, I will spend some extra hours at night and I will finalize the project and we will succeed, guys." So people are not interested in some income. So the income is not on the first place, the result is on the first place. And for example, what I see here in Brazil, people are mostly interested in, let's say, social package, monetary policies, and other stuff. And if they don't receive enough, so the great projects and opportunities to grow and other stuff are not that important for them as social package, as salary and other stuff. So I don't want to say that it is a huge difference between cultures. Probably in Brazil the reason is that people are mostly receive less salaries than in other countries, because
Yes.
Brazil is
Yes.
not
Yes.
that rich country as we know. But still, I believe that it's all about your mindset, and sometimes you can be really involved. So I see right now in my team, in an example of my team, that these people working for some time with our Russian team in a tight contact, they started being more involved and they feel how they, so they need just an example in front of them and they start changing their mindset, they start changing their way of working. I still remember the moment when one of my team members was saying, "Sorry, I can't work after 7 p.m." And now, I mean, I didn't push on anybody. I didn't make them work
Yeah.
after 7. But now I see how their point of view changed. They worked for some time with us, and now they say, "Oh, we have to finish this. I will stay a little bit later. Yes, tomorrow I will grab my day off or something like that, but I will stay and I will finish it." And I think that is not my aim. That is not my task to change their mindset. But I see how this tight collaboration changes their mindset and they start thinking about result and their personal input into this result, and not only things that they will receive.
For sure, Igor, because imagine this is only me thinking about the topic, but imagine there are times when the opposite occurs, when you don't have that much work and probably they can leave earlier or something like that.
Exactly,
Uh,
exactly. That is what I usually share, and that is what I usually tell them. That this is a kind of flexible stuff. Nobody ever, especially in our agency, which is not a huge company, nobody ever, how to say, controls your personal time. You can take your time. You can go and have a lunch with your child. You can spend it. But if there will be some tough project, you have to stay there, and then nobody will ever and everyone will give you this extra hours for your personal tasks later. So yes, exactly, for me this flexible stuff is much better. But in Brazil, that is a peculiar detail. People are really really focused on this stuff. They ask about the payments for their transport expenses. They want their lunches to be refunded, and so on. So this is a kind of thing which is which appeared because people often change companies. They go from one company to another, and they start valuing tiny elements. But that is,
Hmm.
from my point of view, is the biggest mistake, and I will explain a little bit later today. This the biggest mistake, because once you focus on the tiny things, you will never start a fast growth. So sometimes you have to sacrifice. Probably that is not the correct word, but you have to sacrifice something which, from your personal point of view, is valuable, and that will give you a huge boost in the next steps. And that is why I think that being fully plunged into tiny small things stop you from moving to the really big things which can happen
Hmm.
in a year, probably not immediately. But that is like with sport. When you start going to the gym, you don't have the result immediately. The same is with your work. And if you will start focusing on your personal needs, like I want to have a rest, I mean, this example with gym, I want to have a rest, I want to finish earlier, it will never give you opportunity to move forward. The same is
For
here.
sure.
You have to start. And what I see that Slavic people, because of this really complicated history that happened, because the history of Russia, especially, and other countries, I mean neighborhood countries, was really complicated over the Soviet times and previous times. People learn that they can sacrifice, that they, okay, I will do this for my family, for somebody, not for myself. And what I see in Brazil, as here people never suffered anything, they lived, I mean, after this
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, in 20th century, for example, they never suffered, and they started thinking only about themselves. And that is why it's so important for them to have money for the food, some extra hours they can spend with their children on the lunch and so on. But that is the biggest mistake. If you want to start a good career, and that was the main point of our discussion, which we discussed with you, Miguel, when we started. If you want
Yeah.
to build a good career, you have to sacrifice on the start, and this ability to sacrifice can be borrowed from Slavic people, and you can look at them and see how they try to make this project overnight, but have a great result, great portfolio case later, because they spend this time doing something and not
In
thinking
your
about themselves.
particular situation, Igor, that is different from my own, because you guys are really into a competition with worldwide agencies. So you participate in awards, in international awards. So you have projects that really need to be on a level and on a scale and also on a time frame that is really different from my own. For instance, here in Portugal. So do you think that that Slavic approach helps you guys reach that kind of efficiency and that level of output in your projects?
I I can say that partly, yes. I can't say, I don't want again to be too firm with my points
But
which I shared
imagine
with you and
you
say,
compete, with UK projects. You have lots of UK projects
yes,
in the competitions where you guys participate. So imagine, for us, and I'm here in Europe, in the part of Western Europe, we look at people from the United Kingdom, and we think they have a more Slavic approach. We are more like Brazilian, and they are more like you guys. But nonetheless, even the UK guys, I think, are have more flexible thinking than probably you guys. I don't know how you think about it.
I agree. I agree. But I have my personal explanation that UK, as many big cities like New York and London, it's a mixture of cultures. Many people came there, and it's not because of UK culture, but it's because of
Hmm.
mixture which brought the best traits from other cultures. And that is my explanation. And
Okay, perfect.
I can agree with the things which you just shared, but I want to say that there are lots of people who do this in London, for example. But yes, you are completely right. It helps. It helps. And what I wanted to share is that when we started doing this, we saw many people who were stopping on some particular points because they started again, I will say the same thing. They started thinking about their personal comfort. Okay, this is my level of comfort. I don't want to struggle with somebody. I don't want to move forward. And again, in Russian character, not all people are the same. Again, I don't want to say that all,
For
but
sure.
in our case, for example, it's always about um, being eager to change and to struggle and to win. Like, okay, we're here for some time and can be better. Because, Miguel, I can say to you that when we started visiting European countries with the business visits with my partner from Russia,
Yeah.
our firm idea was that Russia, is a third party country. We are a country which is always on the background somewhere. That is true. I mean, on the global market, we are not bringing anything except fuel and metallurgical
Yeah.
stuff. And yes, you know that. But when we started visiting other countries, we suddenly understood that people in many countries, I'm talking about France, Germany, Baltic countries, it happened like 7 years ago. We still had chances to do this. They they are much more passive than we are. So we tried lots of different stuff. We were working, as I said, extra hours and overnight. And these people were saying, guys, you have so great examples of cases. Why don't you go to the global sphere? And at the same time, we had completely different idea about our results. We thought that we are much worse than others. Suddenly, we understood that we are not, and that helped us to believe in ourselves. So, believing in yourself is really important thing, and that is what Slavic people do not have. So, I think that people from Russia were taught, and that is my personal example, were taught to be quiet and not to share anything about yourself. I mean, my parents were saying that is Soviet times
Yeah.
heritage. I mean, it happened when people were saying,
Low
please be quiet.
visibility. Low visibility.
Do not
Yeah.
do not share. Do not talk with people. Do not be a tiny person. That is a word which we have in Russian language. A tiny person is a somebody who shouldn't appear anywhere, because if you appear, you can die or disappear soon. I mean, that's
Yeah.
and that was the thing which didn't help us, and probably that is the only thing which I can share. People in other countries developed much better. They are ready to speak, they are ready to share, they are ready to present themselves and their personal brands, and it helps a lot, and we don't have it. So we were teaching ourselves to do this over time. But that was, I think, the only
But you
huge problem.
guys, Igor,
Yes, please.
now, if we fast forward, you have Brazilian projects that are award winning. So
Yes.
you won an award, a recent
Several.
award
Yes.
with a Brazilian project. So what
Yes.
changed?
What changed? Because I can say that when we arrived here in Brazil, we suddenly understood that the whole market uses just one principle of work. You should maintain the medium level of the market. For example, you go to the career fair and you just give merchandise and make a simple leaflet. If other people do the same, you will do the same. You shouldn't try harder, because you can spend your time with your family, and that is good. I really love to learn how to put your focus of your attention on your family. I mean, because for Brazilians it's very important. On your friends, to spend time. People leave exactly at 7 p.m. and they are already in the bar or somewhere with their friends spending time. They have nice time. They love to spend this time. And it's perfect. We have to learn. I mean, Russian people have to learn to do this. But at the same time, as I said, people try to stay on the same medium level. And we come and we say to each other, we will try harder and we will die on this project, but we will have it even better. And yes, you're completely right. I shared some project previously on our previous meetings.
Yeah.
And yes, we won. And during this huge break, we received two golds for our another project which we made here for Deloitte as well. And that shows us that we can succeed with our approach. We can succeed here because we bring some other principles of work which are completely different in comparison with local principles, and this helps us to grow. So, and I will share it again. I know that we're still discussing general topics, but I will share some particular points which I put into my
Perfect,
notebook
Igor.
to
We'll
share.
move forward there. Just one last question, Igor,
Yes,
before
please.
we
Yes,
move
please.
there. Before we move there, because my main question now is, you are trying to transform the market. How do you perceive 2 years later the market? Has it changed? Is it still the same? Do you see companies evolving? Are they still the same? Because when you have competition, normally uh, other companies try to reach and try to move closer to what the other ones are doing. Do you foresee this coming? Do you see, because imagine, I have never seen, and pardon if it's not true, but I have never seen an award winning Brazilian company in our area, in our field, in employer branding.
That is peculiar thing again, because Brazil is well known for its creative agencies and
Yeah.
creative stuff which they bring to the marketing sphere. But nothing happens in the human resource. You're completely right. Nothing happens, and I can't say I don't want, and I won't say that we changed the market hugely. But what I see when we appeared here, people were just meeting us, and that is funny. But people were happy to meet me as a gringo just to practice their English. So it was like, okay, we met you. It's nice. Oh, you guys so funny, so nice. 2 years passed, and we have already the biggest banks like Bradesco, Itaú. We have biggest companies here in the market because we brought this experiential way of communication with the market. And experiential way, at first it sounds like something strange, but nobody can do this because, as I said, the whole market was staying on the medium level of the quality of their project, and we started jumping much higher. It takes lots of effort. The team has to work a lot because it's not that easy to bring this product. Oh, sorry, this ideas. So I can't say that the whole market started doing this because it's just 2 years past. But what I can see that many big companies understood that we are here and we can provide this. And as I just named, Bradesco, Itaú,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
Lloyd, and others, they started working with us because they understood that there is a player who can help them to stand out on this market. And yes, that is a huge result for me because, frankly speaking, I can say that as a Russian person, I'm too shy always to say that I'm a winner or I'm doing something. When
Yeah.
people ask me, I always say, guys, I do nothing. I'm just existing here, helping others. I'm not the person who changed the world or something like this. And I was always feeling this strange thing that probably if I wouldn't exist here on this market, nothing changed. But
Yeah.
now when you see these big companies, for me, and when we start receiving enough money to work separately, that means that we are doing something which is needed by the market, and that is the only result for me, which explains that yes, you should proceed because I have so many moments of
Self
self
reflection. Self reflection. Yeah.
reflection, yes, and feeling that probably I'm not that good and I have to return.
But
And I
imagine, Igor, not going to take much time, but just another thing. The main difference that I see is that you are operating again in a very large market. So you left Russia, massive market, very very big. You went to Brazil, very large market once again, and it has a singular difference from most markets here in Europe as well. Is that most big employer branding agencies operate in Brazil as well. So you have Symphony Talent, you have Radency, you have all the big players are also there. Something that does not exist here in my country, for example. We do not have any of those companies, and so we only have small to medium employer branding agencies working in our country. So in my perspective, if you have those big sharks working in your market and you're saying everything was on the medium level, well, I think that probably, and it's not to say badly about those companies, because I used to work with Symphony Talent and they do
yes,
amazing work as well. But I think what happened, and it goes really into the topic that we're discussing. It happens some sort of a culturation, and the companies themselves, they instead of trying to bring something new, they accommodate to what exists, and normally
exactly.
they would offer something similar to what was already there.
Exactly, exactly. You completely correct. Because these agencies are mostly formed of local employees, people who know the market, and they change a lot the things which they do, because I'm still in a good relations with the London market and lots of agencies, and we participate in the same awards, and I still a member of judging panel in London. And what I see, they still bring something unusual and original. The same agencies which you just named, and here in Brazil, they act like others. So I can't say that in their case there is some standard or quality level which they maintain in every country. So they are flexible, and they start working as the other market players on the
Yeah,
market work. And I can't say that they bring something. But there is another explanation. These big agencies, which you just mentioned, they mostly work with some simple and generic things like performance marketing, some targeting things, and other stuff.
yeah,
And it is so hard in this sphere to stand out. I mean, you usually do, you have an algorithm and you produced all the same stuff. And we try to bring this experiential stuff, guerrilla stuff, and then other stuff which immediately, if it works and you know how to do this. And I can say that it's so complicated in every time, it's complicated to do this. But if you bring this, you stand out, and people start saying, oh, did you see that case? It's so strange.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And that helps us to grow. I mean, this the only thing that we have this skill which we grew in when we worked
Yeah,
in CIS.
you maximize it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, and we brought it here, and it started helping us to move forward. Yes, exactly. And
Perfect. Let's so you can move forward, Igor. Show
okay,
us
thank you.
what you have to show.
No, I just wanted to share some thoughts which I share with my team. Again, I'm not making them act according to these values or other stuff, but I'm share this as something which can help them um, to to be better and to grab the expertise. Before I start, I want to share one thing. I suddenly understood here that there are two types of people: people who mostly never left their countries or never worked with foreign companies, and those people who worked a lot or lived in other countries. And this huge difference is that people who started traveling, working with other countries, or at least people who speak English. I mean, for me, it's a great
Yeah,
technique which helps to understand, because these people mostly much more adapted for uh, the communication with other cultures, with other participants of the market, and these people understand much better what happens. So, if you want to, that is advice for all the people who listen or will listen to us. If you want to develop yourself, I think that the best way, even without leaving your country, is to start learning languages and participate in international things, activities like conferences, webinars. Our webinar, I can consider it like, international, because we share some insights from other
for
countries. And
sure, for sure.
yes, so webinars in LinkedIn, you can find lots of influencers who can you can follow, and this will really enrich your understanding how projects
And
can be.
communities, Igor. I myself, I can say that for the past 10 years that I've been linked with employer branding, and I started the Portuguese employer branding community. I've been a part of several international groups. I think you are in a couple of them as well. But imagine, for instance, Alex created EB Space. It's a it's a great way to learn about things that normally we wouldn't see. For myself, imagine, Igor, it's exactly what you are saying, because if I only look at things that happen around me in my country and what other companies are doing, my creativity is very limited and my scope will be very, very limited. So I try as best as I can to participate in international forums and communities. Sometimes, imagine, what we lack here is, for instance, big events like Ample and all those big events,
Mm-hmm.
the cost of attendance is high for a Portuguese person. So, and that normally is a barrier for participation. But imagine on the other side, and I know this year you will be there. For the past couple, I think 4 years, we have been partners with Ibinavi and with the event that Barbara has created, the cost of attendance is so low, and you
Yes,
have interactions with people from all around. I fell in love with that event because when the first time that I attended was, you had the possibility to choose between panels, and so you had someone from Asia, and then someone from Europe, and then someone from the States talking, and you had the possibility to choose, and you would listen to the topics that you were most interested, and also people from other geographies and what they were doing. To this day, I have still to meet an event that has so much information. For instance, EB Stars brings from Asia. I never saw so many people from Asia participate in an event as they do in EB Stars. I think Barbara does a really good job in bringing forth and bringing together people in the event that she has developed.
exactly. I completely agree with you. So, yes, in our case, I already shared this. This moment when we suddenly understood how the world, global world works, was the moment when we started traveling, when we grabbed car and there was no problems with traveling in Europe for us. And we traveled to Germany, Italy, France, and Baltic countries and started talking with agencies every day. Me and my partner had 3 or 4 meetings in every country. That it was so complicated, but it showed us lots of new things which we never heard of. So yes, the first advice is get out of the bubble which you stay in, because we know that even social media form a kind of bubble, bringing you particular news on particular land in particular language which is comfortable for you and so on. And try to find other probably uncomfortable ways to receive information, and it will enrich you hugely. I think that is the best way. And when you start traveling, is this that is the second how to say step. And when you move to another country, for me it was also a great challenge. I was really stressed by this experience. I was so stressed. It sounds like we were so successful and everything worked smoothly, but it's not. It was so stressful experience. But now I know much more about ways of organizing and how to say launching different stuff. And yes, that is my advice as well. Try to do something which will be uncomfortable, but it will teach you and it will enrich you as well. So yes, I completely agree with you. Communities, conferences, some particular influencers is the best way on the first stage. Like the things which you can start doing right now. You can finish that. When we will finish, you can go to LinkedIn and start following some particular people, and it will be great.
Follow Igor, and talk to Igor. Yeah,
I mostly post in Portuguese in my
I
LinkedIn.
know, I know, I know.
But yes, now technologies can translate every post. You can translate every video. You can translate everything. So yes, now you can be in this global context daily, every day, and that is great.
Not on the chat. You cannot translate immediately on the chat. If you go to LinkedIn and you try to talk with someone like immediately, LinkedIn does not have immediate translation as of yet. But I think we will move forward in that. It takes, imagine, obviously you can translate it. You see the answer, but not in the platform in itself. It does not do it yet.
Yes, yes, I agree. But I mean, you if you want, you will find means to
For
organize.
sure, for sure, for sure.
Yes, yes. So what I wanted to share the first, at first I wanted to tell you about one case, not a particular advice, which we launched here in Brazil as well. We worked with a company which called Mercos. This is an IT company. This is an IT, and they have
That I don't
something
know.
like
That one I don't know.
they are not big. They're like 200, 250 people. But what we did for them, they asked us to launch a team building event, and we organized the script and other stuff for this team building. But we made an event with a really deep idea. Probably you know a phrase which sounds like jacaré no quarto, which means
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
start overthinking,
yeah.
lots of thoughts go into your head because you are not ready to ask directly, to clarify, to give direct feedback. And this fear I can call it fear. I mean, fear to be in a
Yeah.
how to say constant communication with somebody. It stops you from receiving information which your brain needs, and it makes you feel stress because probably something happens, but I don't know what. And this event which we launched for this company was fully based on different situations. We made it in a gamified way. People were playing, people were doing something without speaking, people were coping with AI because they were afraid of AI, which will grab their job
Job.
positions, or they were afraid of direct communications with their bosses, and they didn't know how to act to be better on their workplace and so on. So we made the models. We have this case on our website in our portfolio, so you can read about this later. But what I wanted to say, that we made a number of situations which they played through like on a psychologist session, and after that they understood that it's not that hard to ask, it's not that hard to share some thoughts of yours. It's not that hard to be afraid of something. I mean, it's not that bad to be afraid, and that is what we tried to do. So what I wanted, my first thought which I wanted to share is, in our case, what I brought from Russian culture and Slavic culture is that you can be always transparent and direct. It's hard. It's hard at
I
first
know.
doing
I
this,
know.
but when you got used to this, it's not that complicated. Especially when you communicate with your boss, because boss is much more experienced than you usually, and that means that boss will understand totally your question, will understand totally the situation. It won't be a situation in which you will hide from problems and boss will hide from problems, and nobody will try to approach these problems. So we try to facilitate this. And if you feel, I mean, not you, Miguel, but I mean all the people who listen to us, if you
Yeah.
feel this kind of approach can help you and your team, and you have the same kind of problems, please go to our website, makeloveagency.com. And there is a Portuguese version of our portfolio, and you can find this Mercos case. It's one of the newest, just to check what game mechanics and ways we brought. You can borrow this. I mean, borrow these ideas and launch it in your company. It's very cheap things. You shouldn't produce anything expensive. But what is important here is that people are not like children. They are not used to analyze and come to some particular conclusions by themselves. You have to bring them, grab their hand, and bring them to these conclusions, and it will help them in their work. So that is the example which I wanted to share. That we even made something which helped people to cope with this problem, and normally people are not ready to do this by themselves. So if you will help them to do this in your company, probably you will have much healthier environment, which will help you to come to some particular results, great results. But what I wanted to share with you, bringing from our culture. So now I will share some advices which helped me a lot and probably will help you. Some of them will be obvious, but please consider it as my personal list. Probably it will be useful in your case. First of all people love comfort, and
Yes.
we already talked about it a little bit with you. And what I understood when I started working with other countries, that in Russia, as I already explained, this historical stuff makes you feel that comfort is something which um, shouldn't be. You shouldn't think that comfort is something normal for you. You have to struggle for it. And I can even say that comfortable situation can be a kind of award for you, not a normal everyday life. What do I mean here? I saw a post in my which made one of my Russian friends from Russian LinkedIn segment. And I really love the idea. That woman, she's an experienced HR manager. She shared that if you bring your personal cup to the office, probably you won't succeed and be a great boss. And then she explains that when you bring your personal cup, you start building your comfort zone on the workspace. Probably it's good for you because you have your friends, your smoking breaks, your armchair where you can sit and relax for some time. But if you want to grow, you shouldn't have any armchair to sit. You should work the whole day. You shouldn't have your personal cup. You should have just plastic cup to drink some water,
Yeah.
not some tasty tea which you will prepare for half an hour or something like that. So it means that all these things which make your life more pleasant and comfortable should not exist on your workplace. If you will look at most of the bosses who already on the top, I mean, who run different, they these guys are not sticking, or girls, sorry, I mean, any
Yeah.
kind of
Boys or girls, yeah.
guys or girls, they usually do not have any comfortable habits. Probably this happens at their when they come home, but they don't have it on work. So on workplace, I mean, they never try to have a rest. They always at their desk answering questions, helping people. They never try to wear something comfortable clothes. They wear a suit, and probably the suit can be not comfortable. They never have their personal mugs or any other stuff. They can grab a simple glass of water. They never have a long uh, long dinner breaks, and with a tasty food they have something very simple but and fast. And but this stuff helps you to understand, all the stuff which I shared right now helps you to understand that you are here on the workplace not to make your life more comfortable, because this will make you relaxed, and when you are relaxed you're not moving forward. And probably my example, this example corresponds with the first example which I shared today about our case when our Russian team made the whole project overnight, and client was extremely happy. We made a great project, and for them, this was the even bigger result than the personal comfort on a short-term period, when they, if they would have mm, stopped working at 7 p.m. and go to have a nice time with their families. So to sum up this point which I wanted to share is, try to think what makes your life comfortable on a workplace, and if it's possible try to reduce the influence of discomfort, because the more comfort you have, the less
Yeah.
motivation to move forward you have. And in Russia, I will refer to Russia. In Russia, people mostly really involved into their project. They're really interested in what happens. They're really involved, and that makes them, and that helps them to bring projects which are much more sophisticated, interesting, and complicated than projects which you just made because others do this. As this thing is very close to the thing which I shared about Brazilian guys. We will maintain the same level as others do, and we won't try harder because we don't need it. Nobody needs it. But in fact, people need it, and unfortunately, the results of these extra efforts will be seen only in a year or later. But if you will start doing this right now, probably you will come with the great results very soon, and you will succeed, and you will say thank you, like in a gym. Just compare your workplace with a gym and try to understand that in gym, if you want to have a great results, you never make any comfortable moments for yourself. You always have to try harder and move forward, and this will bring results soon. So
Now,
this is
Igor, just to be the devil's advocate and to also add an idea, don't you think that that maintenance of that same level of performance across the board has anything to do with the approach to risk? Because I think that normally we, and I think Brazilians are the same, are less risk oriented. That is the way I see it. For instance, here in Europe, I think companies are really, really less risk oriented than, for instance, American companies. They are taught from really young ages to embrace risk, and that with risk also comes a bigger return. And so here we do not think like that. Imagine, I don't know how your culture and the way I started was how your upbringing was. For instance, for several decades here in Portugal, it was really good for a mother or a grandmother to see their children go into public service. Why? Because public service was safe.
Hmm.
Nobody was fired from public service, so they
Hmm.
had jobs for life. So that was
Yes.
the approach, and so we were very, very not risk oriented. So nobody, and I had, imagine, I had several meetings when I was younger. I used to manage an incubator, a business incubator here in Portugal, and that was the really the first time that I connected with someone, and the connection that I had was with an Israeli company, and the person that I was talking to, uh, going back to this example, told me that he had lots of friends, and for instance, one of his friends was a really good medical surgeon, highly recognized, but that his mother was always telling him that he should look up to him, the guy that was talking to me, because he owned the company. And for her, owning a company was better than being a recognized surgeon, for example, because the benefits would come, the benefits of being
Yes.
the owner of a company. They were really, really risk oriented. They all the families and everyone around them were telling them that they should take risks. They should go. Imagine here it's normal. I don't know how it's there, even in Brazil, but here in Portugal nowadays, people leave their parents' houses at 30 or 32 years of age. This
Yes,
is
it's the
how,
same.
yeah, this is how we are nowadays, Igor. So risk is really something. It's a really bad word for us. So if
Yes,
there's
agree.
risk involved, if there's risk involved, we will not do it. So we are really
I
afraid of risk.
I agree, and it's exactly what happens because you're completely right. In Russia, the economical situation, especially in '90s, was then so good for risk takers, for those people who wanted to launch, and people who now own these huge metallurgical factories and other stuff. They started that time, but they were taking risks exactly, and this is a part of cultural thing. Yes, exactly. And what I see right now in Brazil, there are no small businesses which are started right now by young people anymore because people do not want to try this. They're really afraid and they do not want to have discomfort in their life. They prefer to go to somebody's company and start asking for, as I said, payments for transport, payments for
Yeah,
lunch.
yeah, yeah.
So that
It's
is
the
what they do.
same.
They take a lawyer and lawyers start helping them to get bigger salaries, other stuff, and but they do not want to do anything exactly. And in my case, what happened when I graduated university, I didn't want to do anything. I was living in a small city, and my mother bought me a ticket to Moscow and said, now you will leave or you will stay here forever
Oh,
and you will never have any good results, so please leave. And for me it was the most stressful moment. I didn't want to leave because I had so many friends there, my relatives, and she said, here is the ticket, please go. Leave. Go from here. And this corresponds with the fact that many people still live till 35. I know that and I see this, and I completely agree with you, and in Brazil it happens. So yes, if people can start thinking about next steps, that can be another advice. Please start thinking about your life as the a sphere where you can take risky steps and probably they will bring some results. Sometimes it will be painful, but in other cases you will have great results after this, and probably you will jump much higher than your friends or classmates. I mean, because you will start taking. I completely agree with this as well, Miguel. It's
and another question, Igor, regarding yourself, because you took the risk with a partner, and I know Irakli as well.
yes,
And was it tough getting a
yes,
consensus between the both of you on which countries to go and where to bring your company? Brazil, for
yes.
instance, was it between the both of you? Was Brazil like we agree that Brazil is the market?
Uh-huh. First of all, yes, having a partner is a complicated step. I can say that we had just three main blocks of our communication. At first, it was just energy because you wanted to start something new. So it was easy. We were working the whole day and night to launch the agency. Then there was a period with many argues and struggles because we were trying to find our each one of us tried to find the space in this zone because nobody wanted to be less significant, and that was the most complicated thing. But as we became more mature, that happened. The same happens in my family when you start talking, not hiding your emotion. When I start talking with my wife, sharing everything, even the things which are not comfortable for me to say. The same I started to do with my partner, and it changed the situation a lot because he was all doing the same. It was very complicated to share with person who you don't know pretty well some things which
Yes.
but that is another thing which is really important. You have to make yourself, you have to prepare, you have to write the points, but then you come start talking, and the person shouldn't be how to say, shouldn't close in this conversation. And if it happens, you will have really great. Right now, we have very good communication with my partner because we already had all these hard times in our communication, and mostly we try to understand the reasons which both of us bring and look for some ground in the middle, and it helps because when we came to the Brazilian, we analyzed lots of elements. Sorry, analyzed lots of analytical stuff about economics, about unemployment rate here. And finally, when we understood this, nobody of us was trying to put the final point. Like he was not saying that no, this will be this point. He was saying, I think this one is good, but please give your option. That is very mature way to communicate, and it helped us a lot. So I can say that we had hard times and we had all the problems which you just mentioned, but now we don't because we learned how to organize a mature and efficient communication between us.
And do you think that being of the same culture helps? If you had a partner from another geography, do you think it would be harder on you?
We have a partner, you know her, Winnie, who is our country manager in Brazil, and she's Brazilian. And Brazilians are very complicated people for me. As I said, we have lots of. We are very close when we, let's say, have churrasco. We eat meat, and we can the same. We share the same jokes, and it's funny for us. But when we start working, we have completely different. Point of view according to the way it should be organized. I already shared some points today. But what happened with her? She lived in the United States for some time, and
Yeah,
she's not a Brazilian anymore. She's not a Brazilian completely. She's a person
I
of
know.
a global culture, and that helps us to be on the same page with her. So I can say that yes, being people from the same cultural background helps, like me and my partner from Russia. But if you have an open mind to receive more information about world, you can be very comfortable partner. So I don't have any problems, and Winnie is really, really, we're in really good contact with her, and it helps a lot. I think that it's a huge success for us, a great chance which we had to find her, and now we work a lot because she has me, and she because we communicate more with her than with other people. We have lots of knowledge
Common
about other
ground.
countries,
Yeah,
cultures.
common ground as well. Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. Exactly. We are really short of time, Miguel.
Yeah,
So
for
I
sure.
want to share a few things which I wanted to share, and I think that will be enough for us because the conversation was perfect. I really loved the question.
Perfect. As always,
But
Igor. As always.
what I want to share more about this, I already said that you should go out of the zone of comfort. That is very important because this zone of comfort makes you feel that you shouldn't move forward. And I already explained this in many examples, and that is a really important skill. Another thing, you should be direct and transparent. It's so hard to do this. But what I started doing not so long ago on one of the churrascos, my colleague whom I work with, our account manager, came to me and said, "Hey, I really love that we don't have small talks in the beginning of our calls, because in Brazil it's so common to start
Yeah,
with
for
how are
sure.
you and how are you doing." And when I come to the call, I usually have so many tasks to do, and I start, "Nice to see you. How are you? Good. Okay. So what we have to discuss?" And she said, I never saw any company. She worked in several companies before, but she never saw any company where people didn't have small talks. So if you can avoid this, probably you should describe it to the other people. I mean, you should come and say, "Hey, I want to try this approach." For people not to think that you are too rude or too trying to abuse them. But it's so important. If you want to save time, do this. And she came and said, "I never thought that it can be like this. And I really love this way, because we just go straight to the point. We don't need to have all these long discussions, and it helps a lot. But at the same time, you should learn how to say no. For example, many people, there are lots of memes about Brazilian people who say, "Probably I can do this, but I'm not sure that this time will come soon, but I will try to find a spot."
Yeah.
No, just say, "No, I can't. I know that it's hard." But if you will imagine that there are people like me, Russian people, exist somewhere who can say, "No, sorry, I can't do this." It's so easy for them. Why it should be more complicated for you? So you need just kind of practice. You have to try several times, probably with your relatives, with your friends, and then bring this to and people. And you can also, that is important. You can also explain, "Hey guys, I'm trying a new approach. Please do not think that I'm trying to abuse you. I'm just trying to be more, how to say, globally thinking person."
Assertive, assertive,
Exactly, exactly,
assertive ego.
exactly. So my first point: do not try to not to waste time on some small talks, because this doesn't help, and people do not need this, and even your partner probably doesn't need this. Secondly, say no if you can't, and be more direct in your conversations. Next, I know that many people, that is not connected with the culture but with the generations. Many people right now prefer not to call, because it's also not comfortable. It's not comfortable for me, for you to
Yeah,
take.
yeah,
And what
yeah.
I do, I also feel the same stuff, but I make myself, no, I will call, because I will save probably from 5 minutes to 1 hour if I won't send a message and wait in front of my messenger. I will receive the answer immediately. And just remember that people whom you communicate with probably don't want to answer you. So when they see your message, they close Messenger and start working with other
Yeah,
tasks,
yeah,
because
yeah,
they
yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to make this immediate decision. But if you will call them, you will receive this answer immediately. So if you will again make yourself do this, that is what Russian people still do, you can have a really fast result. Next, you this is the same point, but I will say it in a different way. Sometimes it's so hard to make a decision to answer something, and you can wait for a long time. But in Russia, people got used to the fact that if you won't answer immediately, probably there will be more problems later. So people are more used to answer faster. Like, "Okay, what we should do? I don't know what to do. I'm really stressed by the this need to give you immediate answer, but if I will evaluate, I can say that second point or second way is better for us." That's all. After that, you will be really relaxed, and you will be freed from this
Yeah,
need.
the stress of,
So
yeah, yeah,
my next point is fast decision. Try to make yourself make fast decision, and it will help you to do something. Another point, which I saw in Brazil, and I think it's the same in Portugal, people try to explain. For example, in London, I saw this for certain. When people say no, they try to explain to look not like these rude guys, but to be more
yeah.
nicely. They start explaining,
Polite.
"Because I do this, I don't have any other." In Russia, we don't need to do this. You just say no, and that's all. Because probably I don't want. Probably I don't have any opportunity. Probably somebody makes me do something. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter for anybody. You just have to say no, and try not to explain. Because when you start explaining, you first of all waste your time. Secondly, you kind of spoil this moment, because no is no. There are no other explanation. If your opponent will need explanation, he will say, "Can you please explain me the reason?" And you will explain the reason. But if he doesn't answer and he says, "Okay, it's not a problem," probably it will be a really good thing. For example, I use this point when I talk to people and they say, "Can you do something which probably is not comfortable for you?" I always put another phrase under each message of that. I say, "If you say no, it will never spoil our communication. I know that this thing is controversial and probably it won't be comfortable for you. So you can just say no and we will still stay friends." So I try to explain that your no doesn't need, I mean, your answer, no, negative answer doesn't need any explanation and any additional efforts from you. And probably it helps. And you can use the same stuff. Not you, Miguel, but people.
No,
And
I have that problem, Igor. That's one of my problems. I tend to over explain myself several times. Yeah.
yes, I know. And my last point, my last point, which I wanted to share, it's so strange for me here in Brazil. I will say this, but here family is so important. I already told this, that people share in their LinkedIn's. They share something like, "I'm Igor Trofimov." That's just an example. "I'm father of Polina."
Yeah.
Who needs information about your family in professional network? Nobody. It's again a mixture of something which is not connected with the work. So people try to be nice. They try to show that they are alive, that they have a family, that they love
They are
somebody.
human. Yeah, they are human.
But
Yeah.
exactly, I totally understand this. But nobody in your professional sphere needs this. Nobody. And for me, it's something which I see when I see this. I think, why do you share this with me? I don't. It's like small talk. I don't want to know this. I want to know only facts about things which we are discussing with you. So that's the last point. I know that we are out of time, but I wanted to share all of them. If you have any questions, you can ask me, or I
Yeah.
probably have
Afterwards.
to. We can do this.
Thank you. Thank you all, and thank you once again, Igor. Thank you to your team as well, the Tatiana, obviously, that helps us every month to bring this
Yes, yes,
webinar
yes,
to
yes, yes.
fruition. But these conversations, I feel, that are so interesting for, and I think that today, what I took out of this conversation is exactly what you mentioned: is by having these conversations with you, uh, I bring myself different perspectives, different ways of looking at topics that are on my daily life. And I hope that all of you that are listening to this and are viewing this webinar, you also, this opens your perspective also. And because we also, obviously, in the past, we have had several examples of things that Igor and Make Love are doing, all the award winning projects that they have done. But I think that these open conversations that we have bring other elements that allow you to understand how they reach those target winning projects. So I think, and for me, it's always obviously a pleasure. And when I also discuss employer branding here in Portugal, I bring so many examples of my conversations with Igor, and they are so well received across the board from all types of company. And so I'm really obviously very satisfied with all the conversations that we had, and I think in the future we will have so many other conversations that will bring value to all our listeners. So thank you once again, Igor, and I'll see you soon, probably on another webinar. And I hope to see you personally soon as well. I don't know, in Brazil or in other place. And
Yes,
if
if
you
you will
can,
come, or any
yeah,
of
for
your
sure.
followers will come here to São Paulo, I will be happy to meet every one of you. So for me, it's so important. I'm ready to do this. Don't hesitate to add me, to send me messages, to invite me for the coffee here. And yes, Michele, I will wait for you, or probably I will come sooner or later to Portugal. Anyways,
Perfect.
I'm
Thank you
I'm
so
will be
much.
happy to do this.
See you soon. Bye bye.
Have a great day.